Hey Soul Sparklers, it's all happening.
With a soul sparkle, soul sparkle.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Soul Sparkle Living Show. So excited to be joined by my dear friend and one of my favorite humans today, Mr. George Bryant. Welcome.
Girl, I am so honored to see your soul sparkle on camera. I love you and I'm so excited.
I know every one of our conversations, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is why I do this, because when time goes by, right? I mean, not life, right? And there can be months and months without proper catch up and proper conversation. And so I'm so thankful that I've given myself this requirement. All your favorite people on this show as soon as possible. So of course, that's why you're here. I love it.
I love it.
Every time we get together, there's always something magical that unfolds. Before we started recording, just talking about the way God moves and the miracles that unfold and how the things that we need at the perfect and appointed time always happen. And we're always provided for, always in all the ways.
Oh, my goodness, yes. I have thoughts on that already.
Okay.
This is what I love this conversation. God's timing is always impeccable. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that my flesh and my ego can't comprehend God's timing.
Right.
His timeline is different than our timeline. And I've learned that he's always there ready to deliver it, but it's on the other side of obedience. It's not on the other side of doubt. It's not on the other side of delay. It's not on the other side of sit and wait. It's on the other side of action. And typically it's taking action in a direction that feels unknown and scary, which I think is the definition of faith. Like I remember when I read in my Bible, it said, I will be a lamp to your feet. But he doesn't say for the next 100 steps or the next 150 steps. He says for that next step, which is just this willingness to say, I feel this, I trust, I know I'm in this season. But if there's a calling, if there's a desire, if there's even a curiosity about pursuing something different, then I have to step in faith.
Yeah.
And I have to step in faith and trust, knowing that God will be there to wait for me, not in doubt because that I'm not ready. And so, that it's been probably one of the most profound lessons I've learned in the last couple of years.
I think that's so good. I feel like the two words that, I've done most of, at least the last several years of my life, is trust and surrender, right? And even when I don't really actually know where I'm supposed to be or when, I was sharing with you that story of not knowing, where are you going to be tonight? Where are you going to stay tomorrow? And truly not moving until I get the clear direction. Clear. It's always so clear. And I try to force it sometimes and be like, well, I'm going to go ahead and book this flight, or I'm going to go ahead and make this arrangement. Or I'm going to do this thing. And then I end up going, Hayley, why didn't you just wait? Why couldn't you just pause and be in that really uncomfortable space between the knowing and the uncertainty? And we love certainty so much. It's just not always available.
I think our dopamine and serotonin convinces ourselves that we love certainty, but it leads to stagnation. I love that you just said that, right? I have this written down on a sticky note in front of me. And to your point on clarity, it says, the devil yells and God whispers, but are you quiet and patient enough to hear him?
Yeah.
And I had this conversation with somebody yesterday and they're like, what's the answer? I was like, no. It's not about finding the answer. It's about finding the stillness until the answer appears.
Right.
Right. And I love that you talk about the discomfort. Even when you were in Montana and we did the event, I remember when I assigned everybody to go do a stillness practice and they thought I was like the enemy.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, you're telling me that you're against sitting still for 15 minutes without a phone, without a computer, without music? And I was like, that is the most important place to be. That's the only place that God can meet you. That's the only place where you can meet you. Right. And it reminds me of a monk I had on the podcast, my buddy Elp, who lived in monastery for 7 years. I think 4 or 5 of it was in silence. And he said, if you can't poop without your phone, you've never lived a day in your life.
Oh my gosh. That's a good little reminder, isn't it?
And it's such profound wisdom, because I also think about, I come at this now, biblically, and I joke with people. I was like, so often we convince ourselves we want certainty because we want happiness.
Yeah.
Happiness is a fleeting emotion. Joy is permanent.
Right.
Joy comes through resistance and suffering because you earn it. And
Yeah.
so even just sitting in that discomfort is where you find joy and purpose, because as much as everybody's like, "Oh, I just wish I could just sit back and do nothing." The moment you actually do that, you're like, "I wanna be doing something right now. I wanna be, building something, facing something, learning something, achieving,
Creating something.
creating something," right? And so we get this, like, miswired because we live in a world that constantly tries to get us to sit still to chase that happiness, right? Because they prey on our dopamine, they prey on our serotonin. And I said this to somebody a couple weeks ago and it like broke their brain. And I was like, you do realize that if you're using a product and you don't pay for that product, you are
You
the product.
Yes, I've heard that before as well.
Right? And it like makes us all pause for a minute, because anywhere where we're not choosing
Mhm.
intentionally our environment, right? Like, we're not choosing to exist without our phone, without our computer, without Netflix, without YouTube. We are choosing to become somebody else's dollar sign because they are preying on our attention. Our attention is a commodity and it's manipulating our dopamine and serotonin, convincing us that we just want to be happy, when in actuality, we're just chasing these fleeting feelings instead of being willing to sit and then find joy in that moment.
I love that the teaching again of the stillness, and I spend a lot of my time by myself, usually in my regular world. And what I've noticed too, and you spoke about this before, being isolated versus being in community. And I feel like where I am right now in this little bubble in Greece, in this darling little town, I've never been more surrounded by the preciousness of connection, the intentional preciousness of building relationships. And I know this is your world as well. And I feel like when I'm in the US, there is a expectation of isolation. There's a disconnection from not only ourselves, but each other. We live, very independently and we're on our own. And that's like a sign, a badge of honor almost. How much time do you spend alone versus here? The culture is very much you have coffee with everyone in the morning, and then you all go to work, and then you meet up after and you have a drink, and then you have appetizer, aperitivo, and then you have a long, long dinner.
Yep.
And it's
Long dinner, like
long
4-hour dinner.
hours to
Yep.
the point where I'm like, I cannot eat anything else. I am complete beyond measure. I've had the best time, but I have to go to bed. But it's just this difference in the connection. And you
Mhm.
well, over for dinner all the time. You're cooking together, you're creating meals together and memories. And I've thought of you because we've been trying to schedule this for a while. And I'm thinking, George would love this, like
Love
being
it.
in and everyone around the table. And there's always little snacky things, and those eat something. And the consistent message is eat something, drink something, eat something over and over. And it is so funny to me versus in the US, this like almost like diety culture
Mhm.
of pleasure when it comes to food, lack of like appetite for life and for living and everything. It's interesting, isn't it?
Oh, I
Different.
love the way that you said that, and ironically, because when I was in Croatia last September, it was
Yeah.
my favorite thing about being in Croatia is, like, we didn't have a dinner with less than, like, 8 to 10 people, some of them strangers. We
Yeah.
also didn't have a dinner that
Right.
lasted less than 3 hours. Ironically, I ate in 1 week what I eat in 4 weeks,
Yeah.
and I came home lighter, right? And I love the way that you describe this, and actually you said something that I think is important, because I think when we think about this, like, celebrated thing of, like, isolation, being alone, the lone wolf, the all of it, right? Even me now, I take this as, like, the biblical lens.
Mm.
And I heard this incredible men's teacher, and I can never remember his name, but he said it. He said, "The biggest failure of man is to spend all his time behind closed doors building this strong, giving, resourceful man and dying without ever giving it away to the world."
Oh my God, that's so good.
And
And
it resonated so deeply. And even for me, biblically, my Bible only tells me to be in isolation 1 day a week. The other 6 days, it tells me that the ones who sleep are not the ones who get the harvest. The ones who isolate are not the ones that improve upon the silence. And it's such a profound and powerful concept, because it is an art. But I think in order to be able to show up in community and being able to show up and pour into others, you need a strong sense of identity, or you end up taking on the
mm,
values and identity of others, which drains you, right? So it's this beautiful, beautiful balance, or harmony would be better, to where we can exist in all of these things, but community is what we're designed for. And what I love about community is that community is a mirror for how we are with ourselves. It's a
Mm,
every single time, right? You can't hide in community. Like you and I go to dinner and I'm off, you're gonna be like, hey, honey,
what's going
we've known each other long enough. Like, what's going on? But in our society as well, what ends up happening is we also get convinced, like a badge of honor, that we're supposed to hold on to it, that we're supposed to like suffer in silence, that we're supposed to like handle it instead of being in community, which allows us to release it, right? Like this is why I have a men's group of 20 Christians. We meet every week. We go to church on Sunday together. We go to church on Tuesday together. None of them can fix anything that's happening in my life. They're not supposed to, but they can witness me in it. And magically, every time I share, I feel 1,000 times better and ready to handle that thing in my life. Right. And I know as a recovering facilitator of, breath work and personal development, which I still do, but I do it for God now.
Mhm.
The biggest breakthroughs occur when we're witnessed in them.
Ooh, that's good.
So you can sit home alone and you can talk out loud, you can journal, but you're playing with your own brain in your own world. Everything I've ever facilitated in my life, the one thing, and this just happened, we just finished a retreat in Montana 2 weeks ago. The number one thing that people shared is I've been struggling with that for years. The moment I said it in front of everybody, it went away. And
Your
being
witness. Yeah,
witnessed is what mitigates it and releases it, which is
yeah,
what the power of community is.
right.
And I
And
was yeah,
relationship, sharing.
100%.
And I think one thing you said before we started is that you are currently kind of spending a lot of time, intentional time, with your closest friend and his wife. And there
Mhm.
are opportunities for resolution and conversation that if there's just the two people, they can't always repair, certainly not with any ease or grace at sometimes. And so I think what the other thing that's beautiful is when it's almost like that concept of like standing in the gap. Like I can stand in the space between, I can hear you and I can hear you, and then I can help heal and repair whatever is going on. And I think that's also why we need each other and why we need to do life with other people. I've had that experience this week here, and it's just so fascinating to watch when we misunderstand each other, especially when you have the same language. That's always fun.
Yeah.
That adds another layer, not primary. Watching someone else be able to stand in and support. And I love you have those men in your world to help you do that because we're not meant to do life alone, just like we're not meant to do business.
No.
By your whole philosophy, I've always loved that the relationships are where it's at. That's where it's at.
And it's more prevalent now than it's ever been before, right? To bridge between what you shared and, even that philosophy in business. The most important thing that you nailed is that we're not designed to do any of this alone. We're
Right.
not supposed to, right? Unless you're a light keeper on the loneliest island in the world that you choose to be there, right? Like there's people, there's community, right? The whole nature of our existence is to improve upon the silence. Like our purpose comes from sharing our gifts with other people, which edifies our purpose, gives us clarity and keeps moving.
Mhm.
And I love the way that you shared, like, even me living with my best friend and his wife. I feel like I'm in a tripod marriage and it's heavenly. It helps me in my relationship, it helps them in their relationship. And it's that communal thing that like we're all committed to the same thing. And I said this, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm just a realist. If
Mhm.
you live in North America, you being healthy and happy cuts half the GDP because they can't prey on your insecurity, fear, and pain. So why do they push isolation? Why do
Yeah.
they push get on social more, scroll more, be addicted to this more dopamine? Because it makes everybody manipulatable. But when you end up in community, you'll realize if you want to be in it,
Yeah.
you end up feeling better no matter what. Even last night, like I had like a 12-hour workday yesterday, and I was like, I'm just gonna go home and sit on the couch. And I had church last night, and my buddy texted me, he's like, "You coming?" 99% of me wanted to say no. And then he texted me, and before I could think, I just texted yes. And I was like,
Yep.
yes. I get in the chair. It's worship night. Everyone's standing. I'm sitting because I'm so exhausted. I'm still worshiping God.
Right.
And I'll never forget this. The end of the night, he's like, put your hand up if you're struggling. And I was like, me, I'm struggling all the time, right? I can't let go of this thing. And he's like, hey, if somebody's hands up, come pray over them. This incredible woman, Julie, comes up behind me, wraps her arms around me and just starts whispering in my ear. She was praying in tongues. And she's like, God told me to tell you this. God told me, Haley, I crap you not. Within 4 minutes, it's like somebody shoved a battery up my butt. And I was like, I'm ready to go take over the world. Right. But if I had not put myself in that position, if I had not put myself in community, that would have never happened. And I think what's important to acknowledge about community and about relationships is that every relationship is the seed in a garden. And
Mhm.
if you ignore it, it will wilt and die. But if you
Right.
consistently tend to it and water it, it will always grow.
Mhm.
And we don't live in a society that celebrates communal connection.
Right.
We live in a society on this side that celebrates isolation, which means a lot of times there's a little discomfort in being intentional, right? I think about everybody listening or watching this. Like, do you have text messages in your phone that you haven't responded to yet because you've convinced yourself you don't have the capacity? Right.
Right.
And I was like, you think God just had them magically reach out for no reason? Because there's something on the other side of that for you. Doesn't mean you got to send him a diatribe. Doesn't mean you got to send him a biography. You can be like, hey, thanks for texting me. I want to get back to you. I need a couple of days. I'm just working through ABC, but we're surrounded by these opportunities to connect. And
Mhm.
what we have to do is we have to take the invitation
Yeah.
because the more we take the invitation, the better we feel for us to be able to lead that connection. And it's no different than relationships, right? I've been coaching businesses for almost 20 years now. And in doing this for so long, I can tell you that the number one needle mover for anybody's business, whether you work in a job, whether you own your own company, whether you're in a
Mhm.
startup, at whatever revenue level you're at, the number one needle mover for massive success is relationships. It's not
Right.
tasks. It's not to-do lists.
Nice.
It's not who you hire for their skills. It's who you hire for their character. And if you build that relationship with them, and
Right.
it's across the board, no different than with our customers. Every time somebody transacts with us, they're not a transactional robot. There's a human being on the other side of that. Just
Yeah.
so happens when you treat them like a person you want to be in a relationship with, they stay forever and they recommend people and refer people because you're in relationship with them. Everything that we ever do, relationships are at the core. It's the foundation that the house is built on. And if you don't focus on them, it all crumbles over and
Right.
over and over again. And
Mhm.
that the challenging thing is you and I have been doing this long enough. We've known each other long enough. Nobody can make you want to invest in relationships. You have to choose it. But I promise you, if you're listening to this or watching this, there will be a moment in your life where everything breaks that serves as the catalyst. And you're going to realize that the same opportunity was there the whole time. And now you take it seriously, that the quality of your relationships dictates the quality of your life. And there is no passive relationship. There is no passive partnership. There is no passive friendship. There is no passive client relationship. They all require intentional effort and action. And the faster you realize that, the faster every single thing in your life starts to improve. But
Yeah.
we also have to realize that the relationships that we have, their job is not to meet us where we are. Their job is to call us up to who we can be. And
Right.
that's why it's
Absolutely.
uncomfortable.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, it's interesting because there's research, you probably already know this, that social isolation is a greater risk factor for death than smoking. So it's
100%.
it's better for you to smoke and be with all your people all the time than be by yourself. Like you have a greater risk of dying. So to me, what's unfortunate about at least what I've experienced, spending so much time outside of the US now, it's so clear that we are really programmed to work hard, sacrifice relationship, make a bunch of money, da 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 da, right? And what I've seen here, it's so interesting. And even a conversation I had today, this person I was speaking to said, the wealth that I have is because is in my relationships, right? It's not about the money. You can make money, lose money, whatever, right? It's truly the wealth that you have is by investing into those friendships and the opportunities for connection and community. And I think the more, like you said, the more we really intentionally spend time and be present. So that's the other thing here that I find so different is that you can be in a room full of people at an event, da da da. Half the people are on their phone, or you can be at a dinner. There's going to be people that are they're just not with you. They're not present. And I think what's really beautiful is that there's work that's done. And when work is over, that's that. Like there is no posting, there's no da 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 da, right? You are fully connected, laughing, chatting, all the conversation that happens and the magic that unfolds like and I know that magic happens around tables and when you're heart to heart and belly to belly. And I think what's beautiful is that you've also been very intentional about creating opportunities for people to come together and gather and build those relationships because, I mean, it's one thing to connect online, but when we met in real life, it was like
Yeah,
my
over.
totally different situation, like next level.
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful to have people spend time in real life together.
I gotta say something, and I think there's a book that you will love, and anybody who resonates with any of this conversation. I've been diving into this book. It's by a woman named Bronnie Ware, so Bronnie, and then Ware, and the book is The Five Regrets of the Dying. And
I've heard of
so
this.
she was basically a palliative care nurse, right? End of life nurse who basically only treated people transitioning to increase their quality of life in like 30 plus years. And so she would interview all of them and realize like there was a lot of wisdom to pass on. And it's such a profound summary of what we've been talking about. I have the list in front of me. I keep it open on my computer. I look at it every single day because it's so powerful. And there were five main regrets that all of them, like we're talking hundreds and maybe even thousands of patients that all shared the same sentiment. Mind you, just for everybody listening, money is not on the list, but I'm going to read you the five of them because I think they're really profound and they summarize what we've talked about. Number one, the number one most important one, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life that others expected of me.
Mhm.
That's number one. Number two, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. She said that came from every male patient that she ever had as a patient, every single one of them.
Wow.
Number
Beautiful.
three, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. Most of my patients suppressed their feelings in order to keep peace with others. As a result, they settled for a mediocre existence and never became who they were truly capable of becoming. Number four, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. And number
Yeah.
five, I wish that I had let myself be happier.
Oh my God, that last one. I mean, all of those are, yes, should be left open on the computer and reviewed on the daily. But I think that last one speaks to just really giving yourself permission,
Yeah.
to be
I want to read this. This is her synopsis of this one because I have them open. I wish that I had let myself be happier. This is a surprisingly common one. Many did not realize until the end that happiness is a choice. They had
Mhm.
stayed stuck in old patterns and habits. The so called comfort of familiarity overflowed into their emotions as well as their physical lives. Fear of change had them pretending to others and to themselves that they were content when deep within they long to laugh properly and have silliness in their life again. When you are on your deathbed, what others think of you is a long way from your mind. How wonderful to be able to let go and smile again long before you are dying.
And there it is. That's it. That's the key, isn't it? Allowing yourself to be happy. And I think, especially right now, things are a little crazy. And why not pour as much love and as much light and as much joy and grace out of your heart into everyone around you every single day? Like, what else is there, right? What else is there? It's
It's
everything
it's one of my favorite Bible verses. It's James 1:2, and it says, "Count it all as blessings."
because we're
And
not guaranteed.
we are not. And here's the craziest part. You talked about scientific studies earlier. There's also another one that has proven that gratitude and
Is the key.
intentional gratitude in every single moment is the key. And there's another one by Andrew Huberman where they found this part of your brain called the mid-angular cingulate cortex. And it is the part of your brain that's associated with willpower and desire to live. The ironic thing about it is it only gets bigger when you choose to do things that you don't actually want to do. And the more comfort you choose, the smaller and smaller it gets, and your willpower and desire to live goes down. It's called the mid-angulate singular cortex.
Wow, that's fascinating.
And so when I think about this, and at the very, to even tie this to the beginning, when I said, for me, the only thing I'd replace in her happiness is joy. Because in James 1, 2, or in James 2, 1, 2, it says, count it all as blessings. Because when we look at the challenging times and we can meet them with grace and gratitude, it builds perseverance, resiliency, character, and perspective. But choosing to see that as joy is the most empowering place because if we're facing a situation and we're going to have to face it anyways, which path is easier? The one
Yeah.
where this is so hard or this is happening to me, or the one where like I'm blessed for this opportunity to get stronger and this is happening for me. And that
Mhm.
is a conscious choice. It reminds me of being in combat, right? Like I didn't want to get deployed. I didn't want to go to war. I didn't, yeah, was I in the Marine Corps for sure? Was I pooping my pants? 100%. And I was like, but I can't get off the plane and I can't go home. So my mindset in this situation is actually the thing that's going to dictate whether I make it home or not, right? And we practice this. We're like, hey, if we're working out, we're like, oh, when it hurts, it's helping me get better. So I'll push. But when it comes to our emotions or our life, we treat it completely differently and we wonder why it atrophies and we wonder why it gets smaller and why we struggle. And so I think it's an invitation for all of us. And I said this earlier, but I can give you study, I can give you book, I can give you Bible, but at the end of the day, it's your choice. But I believe that a rewarding life comes from one of service and one
Mhm.
of action, right? And it's us choosing those things that are unknown, that are maybe afraid for us, that are different. That is, even in the Bible, it says, lonely is the narrow path to heaven. Not everybody's going to take it. That means having the bigger perspective. That means having grace. That means having forgiveness. That means like you can attack me, I'm going to pray for you. You're going to
Right.
be mean to me, I'm going to be nice to you. You're going to go
Mhm.
the easy route, I'm going to guide you the hard route, and I'll lead you in the process. But that's where reward comes from. Like none of us can think of something in our life where we're like, that thing came so easy. I value it so much. No, my best
Never.
friendships, my best wins, my best relationships. When I look at the story, I wouldn't sign up for that story again, but I would never trade the result of that story, which makes me excited to walk those next moments.
And who you've become along the way, like through those experiences. Like we said earlier, we're being refined through these processes, through the the wins, the losses, the grief, the whatever, We're being refined into a more pure heart, pure light, pure love because we've had to go through those things. Never easy. But we'll share this link in the notes too. The thing I think would be lovely is for those that are listening that feel called to almost like reverse engineer, right? So you're taking those 5 things, and if you even started with the happiness one and said, "What could I change now? What could I be doing right now that would create more happiness for me
Mhm.
in life? Is it more travel? Is it more connection? It's more relationship? Is it changing what I'm eating?" Like George was it was so funny because I was with my mom in Oklahoma for a while this summer and nothing sounded good. First of all, the food, nothing was I didn't crave anything. Nothing food called to me. So I basically ate this broccoli and cashews, and I'd saute it in olive oil and, sexy pink salt, but that's the only thing that sounded good to me. And now I'm here in Greece and I'm like, I'm eating everything and it's amazing and I'm having the best time and I have an appetite again. It could even just be changing what you're putting into your body, but allowing yourself to love people more or to show up and spend more time with them and stay up a little later, than maybe you normally do, like I'm doing. But it's so fun. I'm having the best time.
It is. And I love the way that you frame this. And I'm going to give everybody a cheat code. I know how human brains work because I have one. Okay. Sometimes by just even asking the question of how can I be happier or what can I do to be happy, we'll bump up against a wall and we can't think of something. We can't find something. This is where inversion theory comes in. So if that's you and you're like, I can't think of something, I can't think if it's eating, if it's traveling, if it's taking myself on a date, great. I'm going to give you a pass. Instead, that means your brain is stuck in protector critic mode. And I want
Mhm.
you to make a list of every single thing in your day, or your week, or your month that makes you unhappy. I don't like that my first call starts at 8 a.m. I don't like that I've been getting up at X time. I don't like that this is what I do when I get home. And instead
Mhm.
of making those things wrong, make them right and list them all. And then you take that list, and the things that make you happy are the inverse of the things that you listed out. And the goal is just to pick one. And so maybe, and just a random example of like, I don't like that my first call starts at 8 a.m. every day. It makes me feel X, Y, Z. Amazing. What time would a first call starting make you happy? And you're like, 9. And I'm like, great. Don't change everything, change one. That's it. That means that you might have a calendar full of calls for the next 2 weeks, but guess what? In 3 weeks, nothing's booked yet. Block that first hour for me time or whatever it is that you want to do and start incrementally changing because the habits and behaviors and beliefs and the things that we're currently living in didn't all happen in one day. And
Exactly.
rewiring that and repainting that picture doesn't happen in one brushstroke. It's stroke after stroke after stroke. And the more
Mhm.
that you choose the mini ones, the more you will start to recognize the things that were making you unhappy, and you will start to choose differently because you're building your confidence in it, you're building your process in it, and you're building your progress in it. And I coach people for a living. And the biggest mistake that happens is we overcommit and then we end up in the same spot and feeling like we can't do it again. This could be as simple as 15 minutes once a
Mhm.
week. This could be as simple as 5 minutes once a day. This could be, you know what? I love walking. I have not been in nature in a month. All I need you to do is to go once. And when you're done with that one, ask yourself, when do I want to go again? But don't go throw out the entire pantry. Don't go empty your calendar. Don't go, I'm going to do this 8 hours a day. No, 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 no. You're
Exactly.
turning the Titanic 1 degree at a time. And so every single time you turn it, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so micro bite this thing down because it will help it stick over time because consistency is the secret, not intensity. And so if that works for you, I really invite everybody to do that.
I love it. I think that even just making one change, one little shift,
One.
and it makes it available and not overwhelming as well.
And the way that I say this, and this is the current flavor, because you know me, I pick flavors. I just want you to make one decision that your future self in 90 days will look back and say thank you for. Just one.
Right. Just
Right.
one.
The one will spiral. But when we think about this, is that the life that we're living today, the choices that we're making today, the habits that we have, the things where we're spending our time, we didn't choose them today. We chose them 90 days ago. Right. So we're living in that product. And so it really is bite by bite by bite in any capacity.
That's so good. So good. I think we're going to need like a series of these conversations.
Oh, you know, I'll do this with you all day, every day.
Thank you so much. Always, for your time. It's always such a blessing to spend our moments of magic together. And I hope that for all that are listening, you will check out not only the book that you shared and really do an assessment of what might you need to shift in your life. And you could start that now, right? And also, George will have all of the links to your socials so that way people can stay in touch with you and follow your journey and
Yep.
continue to learn your wisdom and your guidance. We appreciate it so much.
Get ready to see the pinkest website in the world.
I love it. It's the
Good.
best.
Thank you so much for having me. And for anybody listening, thank you for spending time with us because it's something we can't give back to you. So just God bless you. I'll pray for each and every one of you. And I hope that this touched your heart and inspires you to do something with it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much again. And for all listening, we look forward to having you with and tuning in to the episode as well. Okay? Much love. I love you, darling.
Yay!
With a soul sparkle.